You are listening to Think Theory Radio.
Radio.
Hello and welcome to Think Theory Radio, the show that brings you topics outside the mainstream realm of thought and ideas to make you think. And I'm your host, Damian Perdue, your weird guide on this scientifical ride of audio delights. And I'm joined once again by Paulie C.
Yo.
He was out in space last week.
Yeah. What was I doing last week? I was off last week. I was just off.
Yeah. You're always a little off.
I am, but I was like completely off.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. You deserve the break, my friend.
Thank you. Everyone else didn't think so, apparently.
Even
my family was like, don't you have a job?
That's how you know you're doing it right, if you have a lot of haters.
Yeah, right.
And you're back just in time for your favorite show of Think Theory Radio, which is... Oh, yeah. Weird Science and Tales to Astonish. Number 53. Now I have to say the numbers all the time. And
this is 53.
It's 53.
Wow.
Ever since we did the 50th, now we got to keep better track. You know? And yes, it's actually been a while. I looked up, last one was the last week in May.
I think this is like only
May
my first or second Weird Science of 2025.
Yeah, because you missed the last one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I missed the first one of the year, too.
Oh, yeah. See, I saved this one just for you. And remember we did, it was a show and I talked about the, conspiracy of, the black goo. It was, this black goo, found in different places around the world, and there's all different kind of speculations. Well, now we have a new one. Ship goo.
Ship goo
001.
Oh,
a
boy.
mysterious life form discovered coating a Cleveland ship.
It's not a barnacle. This is ship goo.
This is a brand new, entirely new life form that was discovered. And I think it came from too many coney dogs getting tossed off the side of the ship in this Cleveland ship. It's the only Cleveland thing I could think of. But what do they have there? Is it clam chowder? I know they do the coney dogs, but... So anyway, last September, the research vessel Blue Heron, the largest U.S. academic research fleet vessel in the Great Lakes, was brought out of Lake Erie and into the Great Lakes shipyard to fix a noisy propeller shaft. During maintenance, a strange goo was found oozing out of the ship's rudder shaft. Large Lakes Observatory, or LLO, Marine Superintendent Doug Ricketts contacted researchers at the University of Minnesota Duluth, asking them to investigate. While he and the researchers were not expecting to find much of interest, they're surprised the goo contained life. Microbes thriving in the semi-warm, oxygen-less environment. The biggest surprise was that the ship goo had life in it at all, biologist and lead researcher Cody Schick explained in a statement. We thought we'd find nothing, but surprisingly we found DNA, and it wasn't too destroyed, nor was the biomass too low. Sequencing the DNA and comparing it to global databases, the team found that the goo contained a species unknown to science, which they have dubbed Ship Goo 001. It's fun science, Schick added. By calling it ship goo for now, it brings some joy to our science. We find novelty wherever we look. Ship Goo 001 comes with a few mysteries attached. For one, the microbes appear to thrive in environments with no oxygen and in the unique ecological niche created by the ship's grease. Yet the ship traveled through oxygenated waters, and during a previous repair in 2021, no goo was observed either. Though a newly discovered life form, it is similar to other microbes previously discovered in petroleum wells and tar pits around the world, and is thought to be a single-cell organism. Schick suspects that the life form remained dormant in the rudder oil before growing later when the conditions were right, and that the organism may even contribute to the erosion of the metal rudder shaft. It's pretty crazy that, a life form It's so interesting how they can form in these weird places like oil and grease and goo, and like they just stay dormant until bloop.
Yeah.
They get some oxygen or some water.
I'm alive.
I'm alive. I'm alive. Speaking of bringing things to life.
Dr. Frankenstein?
Yeah, except dinosaurs. More Jurassic World thing.
Oh, so Dr. Hammond or something? John Hammond.
And we did remember the dire wolf. That resurrected the dire wolves.
Yeah.
Although, people say, well, that's just a coyote with some dire wolf features. It's just a souped up coyote. Well, that same company, Colossal Biosciences, is trying to resurrect, or it's claiming that it's going to resurrect the giant moa, which is an avian dinosaur.
When they're not supplying steroids to ball players.
Yeah.
It sounded like a place that would do that.
That's right.
Colossal Biosciences.
Mm-hmm. They might. You never know. This is a giant flightless bird that roamed.
Sorry.
How do you think they pay for all these weird experiments?
Right. Yeah. There's no money in dinosaurs.
It was a giant flightless bird that roamed New Zealand before going extinct about 600 years ago, and it's the next species on the controversial list of de-extinction targets from the biotech company. Colossal announced on July 8th that its scientists and local indigenous partners will bring back the South Island giant moa, or Dinomus robustus, through genetic engineering within the next 10 years. D. robustus stood up to 12 feet tall and was the largest of 9 known species of moa, all which have thought to have gone extinct due to hunting by humans. So, of course, there's a lot of researchers and scientists who are kind of saying, hey, we don't really need to do this. And also, somebody made a good point, and something that I agree with. Why is this company trying to bring back extinct animals when there's so many endangered species right now that they could be bringing back? Mm-hmm. So, but they want to bring back dinosaurs. What can you do?
So, like every movie that warns us about these consequences, like we just, we should try that.
Yeah.
Let's make dinosaurs. Let's make AI.
I do have a couple of AI stories too.
Oh, I bet. Like AI wrote it for you, or
no, about AI.
Oh, okay.
But I will save those. But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, just how you have a company. I mean, I haven't looked too much into Colossal Biosciences to know what else they do, but it just seems very odd to kind of bring back these animals that aren't really, don't necessarily need them,
Yeah. But think of our ecosystem without the Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of scientists who are saying, well, hey, you have, all these different species of, whatever, turtles and sharks or whatever that are going extinct now, that maybe we could try to preserve them because they're still around. Instead of, hey, let's bring something back from, it hasn't been around for 1,000 years.
Like all the white rhinos are gone thanks to poachers. And no, let's get a dinosaur.
Yeah. It's such an odd, I don't know why they picked, it doesn't say why they picked these, the moa. It's avian dinosaur. I don't really know what.
Probably because it's cool. I want to study its habits.
It just looks like a giant ostrich.
Yeah.
It's like we already have ostriches. We don't need another.
Want to see what a prehistoric ostrich looks like? Haven't you been tempted?
I guess there's the curiosity aspect.
Breed them for the delicious eggs.
There you go. That's probably the real thing. I just thought that the old Dave Chappelle skit.
Yeah.
Got these dinosaur eggs.
Was it supposed to be Diddy in his mansion, or who was he supposed to?
I think it was. I can't remember now.
Or he was just some rich guy.
It was supposed to be like a Cribs episode, like MTV, but I don't remember if he was
to the internet
impersonating somebody or not.
Yeah, that was great though. But it hatched.
Yeah.
Not to spoil a 20-year-old sketch that we can't repeat on the air.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah. While you look that up, I will mention this one. Another science fiction kind of breakthrough. Researchers unleash new tracking technology that utilizes environmental DNA. Scientists have revealed a novel means of tracking everything from wildlife to illicit substances. Illicit substances, Paul. Using environmental DNA detectable in the air around us.
Chappelle played himself, by the way.
Okay. I kind of thought that, but
Yeah.
The findings outlined in a new study published in Nature, Ecology, and Evolution showed that tracking virtually anything using environmental DNA can be achieved as simply as capturing this ever-present genetic material from the air using a vacuum. Just use your plain old living room vacuum. No, I'm just... But they can track any kind of life form, different substances, anything that has DNA, they can track through the air now. That is nuts. The discovery was made by a team led by David Duffy, PhD, reveals DNA as a powerful tool for detecting and tracking living organisms and a range of substances in virtually any environment. Duffy, a professor of wildlife disease genomics at the University of Florida, led the recent study, saying that the amount of information accessible to scientists through environmental DNA is such that we're only starting to consider what the potential applications can be, from humans to wildlife to other species that have implications for human health. Originally developed to study the genetics of Florida's sea turtles, Duffy and the team at the University of Florida's Whitney Laboratory for Marine Bioscience say their technique can be used to study every species on Earth, using samples obtained from locations like soil and water in virtually any environment. However, Duffy and the team say the genetic material left behind by organisms also becomes airborne, leaving genetic evidence of any nearby organisms floating in the surrounding environment. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, and then speaking of life and finding life and DNA, new research suggests that we should say goodbye to the dream of life on Mars. Sorry, Elon. It's just not going to happen.
Oh, because of science, not because of government contracts disappearing.
Yeah.
The well is run
Right.
dry.
Well, I'd probably go like the opposite, as opposed to science. You know, hey, there's nothing there. I don't care. I'm going anyway.
So why can't we go?
Well, since 2012, the Curiosity rover has drilled more than 40 holes in Gale Crater. And because of all the holes, Mars is going to implode. No. In several mudstone samples, the rover's X-ray instrument flagged cryptic carbonates, minerals formed when liquid water reacts with carbon dioxide. Lab work on Earth pegs those concentrations between 5% and 11% by weight, far richer than orbital surveys suggested. Spread across Mars sedimentary layers, the saturated carbonate could entomb a chunk of CO2, roughly equal to 1 bar atmosphere. Now, that very meltwater, however, accelerated carbonate formation, which pulled greenhouse CO2 from the sky. With each pulse, the air thinned, temperatures dropped, and the lakes vanished. The model yields a stark rhythm, humid episodes lasting 100,000 years, separated by dry spells up to 100 million years. Now, basically what that means is that life was never given enough time to form. That yes, there is water there. There was water. There could have been oceans. But because of the humidity and the difference in the atmosphere, it would dry. It would go from being wet to dry too often in its history that life has never been formed. Now, this also can have an impact on, if we want to set up a colony there, it's going to be much more difficult to extract water and create water from Mars. So they're saying now it still has to be, confirmed, reconfirmed, and everything like that. The basic research right now is showing that there isn't enough to really sustain. I mean, you could probably do small colony, but it's going to be very sparse, and it would have to how much you get out of what you put in, whatever that word, there's like a phrase for that, is it's not going to be very good.
So, like that one song from the 90s, like you only get what you give or whatever. Don't let go.
Because it's saying without large accessible aquifers, settlers will rely on extracting ice from polar caps or hydrated minerals, which are both very energy-hungry processes that inflate mission, mass, and cost. And even fuel production via water splitting for return trips grows harder, pushing planners toward nuclear or shipped-in propellant. So it's basically, we can get there, but every liter of water will carry a premium price tag. So, basically just gives the rich people even more of an excuse to leave us all behind. Mm-hmm. Sorry, only the really rich can go.
Wasn't that the point anyway? What do you mean I didn't have a spot on that ship? Leaving you here.
Yep. Mm-hmm. We knew it all along. Before we take a break, let's go take a phone call from Jim in Chicago. What's going on, Jim?
Hi, guys. I was just thinking, I don't know what disappeared with the lightning bugs, but maybe human intelligence went with them. When I was a kid, I sit on the stoop, on the stairs, and there were lightning bugs everywhere. I mean, you could say everywhere. They were, and I haven't seen one in, God have mercy, 50 years.
You know what? I've actually been seeing them, not as much in the streets or in the neighborhoods, but if you go into the forest preserves, I was over at LeBog Woods last Saturday, and there were a ton of them, like in the field in the middle of the, in the park, like where the people do barbecues and stuff like that. But yeah, I haven't really seen them too much, like in the streets, like you used to.
Yeah, when I was a kid, they were all over the place, but I haven't seen one. But at least they exist. I'm glad you saw a few things.
Yeah,
that puts my mind at rest. Anyway, you guys have a great show.
Well, you know what happened, Jim, is like your generation, my generation, we were smushing too many of them to write our names with.
Taking a baseball bat to them and watching them fly. Yeah.
Remember DDT? You guys are too young for that, but DDT, they used to spray the neighborhood. We used to chase that truck as kids, breathing it for a mile or two,
Oh, my goodness.
That's the goodness. We run behind it, We're talking about brain damage.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, have a good weekend.
All right, you too, Jim. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Weird Science on Think Theory Radio right after this. Welcome back to Think Theory Radio. We're just talking about what happened to the lightning bugs. I haven't figured out that mystery yet. But also bringing back life forms. Maybe they'll bring back, instead of the avian dinosaur, they can bring back the lightning
bug. Yeah. No, why would we need that? What, the population's declined by like 33%. Why would we?
I wonder what they do too. Like there must be a purpose for them in nature.
I'm sure. They eat other bugs? I have no idea.
Yeah, it's something. Or they are food for other bugs, maybe.
Right, yeah.
They light up the sky. Maybe that's why they're there. They just light up. Before we had artificial lighting, you used the lightning bugs. Or what's the other name for them?
They're nocturnal pollinators. They help control pests by preying on snails, slugs, and other garden pests, and contribute to nutrient cycling by consuming detritus as larvae.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, they didn't bring back the lightning bugs, but they did bring back to life a 7,000-year-old organism frozen in time and mystery.
So that they can make dinosaurs out of its blood?
No, they're making Soylent Green. Researchers have revived microalgae from the Baltic Sea that lay dormant for nearly 7,000 years, revealing insights into ancient marine life. The study published in the ISME journal demonstrates how these organisms preserved in sediments offer a living snapshot of past ecosystems. Genetic analysis shows gradual adaptation over millennia, with ancient algae regaining normal photosynthetic activity upon revival. The research explores the concept of dormancy as a survival mechanism, highlighting potential applications in understanding climate resilience. I mean, that part in itself is just interesting, how you can have something frozen in time for 7,000 years and that you can actually revive it.
Yeah.
You know? And this could help for, different kind of ways to figure out climate change, carbon capture, different applications. Genetic analysis of these algae revealed differences between ancient and modern populations, indicating a gradual adaptation over time. Remarkably, the resurrected algae resumed normal photosynthetic activity, demonstrating performance comparable to their contemporary descendants. This method, termed resurrection ecology, allows scientists to explore historical environmental conditions preserved with marine sediments, effectively acting as a time capsule. Dun, 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 dun. So we'll see where that goes. Let's see. Should we get to those AI stories?
Yeah.
I have one where AI outsmarted some, and then one where AI was outsmarted itself. Well, it was outsmarted by something else, but which one first? The good news or the bad news?
Bad news. Always the bad news first.
The bad news is AI outsmarted 30 of the world's top mathematicians at a secret meeting in California.
All right. Oh, yeah. That's pretty bad.
And then they took over. Ever wonder if we're actually just living in a future AI's dream?
I do wonder that now. I didn't a few years ago. So once COVID hit, that was like, all right, who's coming up with this? There's a glitch.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then you think about what's going on now. It all seems like just some weird video game.
Nothing shocks me
distorted
anymore.
Virtual world.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on a weekend in mid-May, a clandestine mathematical conclave convened. Say that 5 times fast.
Clandestine mathematical conclave convened.
5 times fast.
5 times, yeah, I can't do it.
30 of the world's most renowned mathematicians from all over the world traveled to Berkeley, and the group members faced off in a showdown with a reasoning, quote-unquote, reasoning chatbot that was tasked with solving problems they had devised to test its mathematical mettle.
All right, robot.
Yeah.
Try on this one.
The chatbot in question is powered by O4 Mini, a so-called reasoning large language model, or LLM. It was trained by OpenAI to be capable of making highly intricate deductions. And Google's equivalent, Gemini 2.5 Flash, has similar abilities. To track the progress of O4 Mini, OpenAI previously tasked Epic AI, a nonprofit that benchmarks LLMs, to come up with 300 math questions whose solutions had not yet been published. Even traditional LLMs can correctly answer many complicated math questions, yet when Epic AI asked several such models these questions, which were dissimilar to those that had been trained on, the most successful were able to solve less than 2%, showing these LLMs lacked the ability to reason. But O4 Mini would prove to be very different. And where's the one? By the end of the Saturday night, Ono, who was, I'm trying to find this, where is his first name? A mathematician named Ono. Maybe he just has one name.
It's just a rock star.
He's a rock star mathematician, man.
Dr. Ian Malcolm has nothing on him.
Ono was frustrated with the bot, whose unexpected mathematical prowess was foiling the group's progress. I came up with a problem which experts in my field would recognize as an open question in number theory, a good PhD level problem, he says. He asked O4 Mini to solve the question. Over the next 10 minutes, Ono watched in stunned silence as the bot unfurled a solution in real time, showing its reasoning process along the way. The bot spent the first 2 minutes finding and mastering the related literature in the field. Then it wrote on the screen that it wanted to try solving a simpler toy version of the question first in order to learn. A few minutes later, it wrote that it was finally prepared to solve the more difficult problem. 5 minutes after that, O4 Mini presented a correct but sassy solution. It was starting to get really cheeky, says Ono, who was also a freelance mathematical consultant for Epic AI. And at the end, it says, no citation necessary because the mystery number was computed by me. Like getting a little attitude there. Defeated, Ono jumped into Signal early Sunday morning and alerted the rest of the participants. I was not prepared to be contending with an LLM like this, he says. I've never seen that kind of reasoning before in models. That's what a scientist does. That's frightening, he added. So, yes, I believe that's one of the 7 signs of the apocalypse. But to make us feel a little better about our puny human brains, here's the good story. That was the bad. Here's the good. ChatGPT was absolutely wrecked at chess by Atari 2600.
Yeah.
A console from 1977.
Beat like a AI chat. Okay. Was Deep Blue or
it was ChatGPT?
No, I'm saying was like Deep Blue or what that Russian guy invited.
Oh yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Or the new I think the guy from India now. That's like the new number one.
Yeah, well, there was, I guess the first one was Maniac 1 or Maniac 1 or Maniac I. It was a supercomputer that became the first machine in history to defeat a human at modified chess. But the Atari 2600, which is an 8-bit computer console, essentially, made for gaming. And Citrix software engineer Robert Caruso explained how OpenAI chatbot got totally obliterated by Atari 2600. ChatGPT got absolutely wrecked on the beginner level, Caruso wrote. This was after a conversation we had regarding the history of AI in chess, which led to it volunteering to play Atari chess. It wanted to find out how quickly it could beat a game that only thinks 1 to 2 moves ahead. Although the chatbot had been given a baseline board to learn game and identify pieces, it kept mixing up rooks and bishops, misread moves, and repeatedly lost track of where its pieces were. To make matters worse, as Caruso explained, ChatGPT also blamed Atari's icons for being too abstract to recognize. But when he switched the game over to standard notation, it didn't perform any better. For an hour and a half, ChatGPT made enough blunders to get laughed out of a 3rd grade chess club, while insisting over and over again that it would win if we just started over. And it actually did say we. Meanwhile, Atari's humble 8-bit engine just did its thing, the engineer noted. No language model, no flash, just brute force board evaluation and 1977 stubbornness. Yeah, take that, AI. Although technically the Atari was kind of AI.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really like... None of this is really AI yet, but it was a kind of a machine learning kind of playing on its own kind of thing.
I gotcha, but I mean, did it have the ability to? I guess it's.
I mean, it can't talk to you, but it can. Yeah. It can make its own moves and figure out. You know what I mean? Like what the next move, but it can only go. It can only think 1 to 2 moves ahead. So the fact that this ChatGPT should be able to think, 100 moves ahead. And this little simple, sometimes simple's better, man.
Doesn't feel good to me that AI is not like making moves like chess. So it's like it's going to walk us right into a brick wall. It's like, well, that was the shortest route. That's what you wanted.
Well, and the fact that it was getting like huffy and puffy about it too. Like it was like telling the engineer, like, well, if we just start over, I'd win.
It's like have the white piece go first all the time.
Yeah.
Like that's the rules.
And soon it will control our nuclear weapons. Well, instead of, zapping ChatGPT, what about zapping the brain? And I do that every day. Zapping the brain may help boost math skills, study hints. Researchers say that the technology is not far from being ready for at-home use yet. But a new study, the researchers recruited 72 students from the University of Oxford. The researchers assessed the volunteers' math prowess with tests before dividing the students into 3 subgroups with matched abilities. For the experiment, individuals in each group had electrodes placed on their scalps that could deliver mild electrical signals to the brain. 2 of the groups received stimulation to either the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex or the posterior parietal cortex, brain areas linked to math ability in previous research. The third group received a sham stimulation, or placebo, basically. The team then applied transcranial random noise stimulation, which is just one of the many types of non-invasive brain stimulation, but is known to be more comfortable than other options. The current pass through the scalp is very low. Most of the people do not feel whether they're being stimulated or not, said senior author Roy Cohen-Kadosh, a neuroscientist at the University of Surrey. Each participant in the treated groups received 150 minutes of stimulation paired with math tests over 5 days of testing. The tests assessed the students' calculation skills and drill learning. Calculation learning requiring existing mathematical ability and challenged participants to work out the answer to presented problems. Based on past research, the authors hypothesized that the stimulation would enhance calculation learning because this area is associated with learning new skills and high-level cognition. They thought that stimulating the PPC, meanwhile, which handles the retrieval of already learned skills, might enhance drill learning. Before testing began, the team had measured the connectivity of their participants' frontal and parietal lobes found at the front and top of the brain. These 2 lobes are the sites of the DIPFC and the PPC, respectively, and are activated together during math learning. People with weaker connectivity who were in the sham stimulation group had a harder time getting to grips with the calculation problems than those with stronger connectivity in the same group. Notably, an earlier small study the team undertook with a cohort of math professors showed that stimulation actually worsened the pros' performance on math tests. This suggests that those who already have high math ability should avoid stimulation. It's an optimal system, Kadosh said, of the math professor's brains. You enter new noise into that, it's going to cause a detrimental effect. And the founder of Cognite Neurotechnology, a brain stimulation company, and is optimistic about rolling out the technology to the general public. Kadosh said that people in universities, workplaces, and training centers could all benefit from it. He added that he was interested in expanding the technology to people with learning difficulties and neurodevelopmental disorders such as attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD. Interesting. Just zap the brain, become a math whiz, man. Although I do find it also, it's kind of crazy that, like, if you're really good at math, it'll screw you up.
Yeah.
You know? All right, where else? Where else should we? Oh, let's see. I got Earth stories. I got space stories. I got a story about a tree. You know what? Let's stick to the brains. We're talking about stimulating the brain.
Okay.
Did you know that your brain is glowing, Paul?
Yeah. Yeah, no. So I think it overheats sometimes, you know. Like an easy bake oven. I would like bake cookies if my ear was bigger.
Well, if you're smelling toast, you might have a problem there, Paul.
I'm not having a stroke, am I?
Your brain is glowing, and scientists can't figure out why. Just you, Paul, nobody else.
Okay.
Life, for the most part, is bathed in light. The sun immerses the planet in energy that supports a vast majority of ecosystems that call Earth home, but life also generates its own light. And not just the bioluminescence of glowworms and lamp-headed anglerfish, or the radiation produced by heat that you're talking about. In a phenomenon scientists refer to as ultra-weak photon emissions, or UPEs, living tissues emit a continuous stream of low-intensity light, or biophotons. Scientists think that this light comes from the biomolecular reactions that generate energy, which create photons as byproducts. The more energy a tissue burns, the more light it gives off, which means of our body's tissues, our brain should glow brightest of all. In a new study published in the journal iScience, researchers detected biophotons emitted by the human brain from outside the skull for the first time ever. What's more, emissions of biophotons from the brain changed when participants switched between different cognitive tasks. Though the relationship between brain activity and biophoton emissions was far from straightforward, the study authors think this may be hinting at a deeper role these particles of light might be playing in the brain. On some level, all matter emits photons. That's because everything has a temperature above absolute zero and radiates photons as heat, often with longer wavelengths, infrared light, that can be seen with our eyes. UPEs are orders of magnitude more intense than this thermal radiation, with wavelengths in the visible or near visible light range of the electromagnetic spectrum. As living cells generate energy through metabolism, they create oxygen molecules with excited electrons as byproducts. When these worked up electrons return to a lower energy state, they emit photons through a process called radiative decay. Scientists have been proposing that biophotons play a role in cellular communication for at least a century. And with this work in mind, Morgan and their team wanted to see if they could detect hints of this phenomenon at the level of the human brain. First, they needed to see if they could measure UPEs emitted by a working brain from outside the skull. In a blacked-out room, 20 participants wore head caps studded with EEG electrodes to measure the brain's electrical activity. Photon-amplifying tubes to detect UPEs were positioned around their head. The photon detectors were clustered over two brain regions, the occipital lobes in the back of the brain, which are responsible for visual processing, and temporal lobes on each side of the brain, which are responsible for auditorial processing. To distinguish brain UPEs from background levels of photons in the room, the team also set up separate UPE detectors facing away from the participants. The very first finding is that photons are coming out of the head, man. Full stop. It's independent. It's not spurious. It's not random, researcher Murgan says. Next, she wanted to see if the intensity of these emissions would change depending on what sort of cognitive task people were performing. Because the brain is such a metabolically expensive organ, she reasoned that UP intensity should increase when people were engaged in tasks that required more energy. But while both biophotons coming from the participants' heads could be easily distinguished from the background levels of photons in the room, increased EEG activity in a given brain region didn't result in higher levels of biophotons being captured by the closest detector. Clearly, something changes when you move from a few cells on a petri dish to a living brain. So we'll see where that goes. I like it. Glowing brains. Stimulate. Maybe they could team up with the people doing the stimulator one. If they stimulate the brain with the electrodes, they'll see it glow more.
Just turn an eyeball around.
The more you zap it, the more it glows.
Let's turn an eyeball around. Drill a hole.
Yeah.
No, don't do that.
See inside your brain. Can you see inside your mind, Paul?
I'm trying. Went cross-eyed.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Weird Science and Think Theory Radio right after this. Welcome back to Think Theory Radio. And we left off talking about the glowing brains, electrocuting the brain, and other fun brain stories, because today it is...
Oh, gosh, you did this to me. It is...
See, that was the brain zap right there.
You didn't do this last break.
I got to switch it up, you know. Jump in and out. Keep you on your toes, man.
You're doing it, yeah.
Well, we talked about earlier a new life form being discovered. Scientists have discovered a new blood type, and it's unique to just one person from Guadalupe.
Oh, man. So you can't donate to them.
She is the only person in the world compatible with herself.
That's not good.
But it's kind of cool, like, to be that unique.
I mean, I guess,
as long as she doesn't have any, like, health issues.
Like, donate blood to yourself?
Yeah, you could probably, like, store it, as long as it's not corrupted now. She's already 68, so she's made it a good ways.
Yeah. So you're saying don't keep baggies of it in your freezer? You actually have to have a medical professional extract it and store it? Yeah.
Oh,
you just show up to the hospital. I got my own.
It's like in plastic bags. Yeah. I didn't want to throw these out.
Yeah, push the casserole to the side.
So many plastic bags. The 60-year-old is the only known person in the world to have this blood group, which has been named Guada Negative after a local name for her home islands. Researchers behind the discovery announced their work in a presentation at the International Society of Blood Transfusions Congress in Milan. The research team first met the woman in 2011 when she was living in Paris and undergoing routine tests before a surgery, but the test couldn't reveal her blood type or any matches for it. Analysis at the time wasn't advanced enough to detect the cause, and case lay cold for 8 years. Then in 2019, researchers utilized high-throughput gene sequencing analysis, which enables faster and more in-depth analysis of DNA to re-examine the woman's blood. 2 years of detailed research followed, in which the team sequenced her entire genome. And Australian-American biologist Dr. Carl Landsteiner identified the first and familiar blood group system, ABO, in 1901. And human blood group systems are more complex than most people think. These classifications refer to proteins and sugars found on the surface of red blood cells. Classic HBO blood typing system describes whether people have one, both, or neither of the antigens known as A, B on their blood cells. The second most well-known blood group system is Reese's classification, which considers whether your cells are positive or negative. Together, the combinations of ABO and Rice systems give us the 8 main blood groups. The woman's unusual lab test results eventually led to the discovery of a mutation in a gene called PIGS, or PIGZ, which alters how proteins anchor to the surface of blood cells. The woman's unique mutations means she is the only person in the world compatible with herself. Thierry Perriard, a biologist at the French Blood Research, quoted, "Blood group systems are essential for blood transfusions as our body reject blood group antigens that they perceive as foreign. With the ABO and I are still considered the most critical transfusion, rare systems still can influence who an individual can receive blood from." So who knows where this will lead to, if they will find more similar blood types or other unique ones. Well, I don't know how to go from that to this, but I had to put this one in here because it's local and it's kind of crazy and everyone loves. What was the rat thing over on Roscoe? It was like,
it was like a rat imprinted into the
it was like the name Rat Hole or
Rat Hole.
Was it just Rat Hole?
Yeah, because it was like pothole.
Yeah,
pothole and rat.
And now if you were like Pizza Rat in New York,
Pizza Rat's the one that was bringing it up the stairs, right? It's like the most New York thing you'll ever see. Was like a rat bringing a giant slice of pizza out of the subway. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, in that theme, the rodents of Chicago are evolving in real time, scientists say.
They're huge, man. When I'm waiting for the train sometimes, I'll just see them skittering, and they're like the size of like a house cat.
Yeah. Well, I remember when I was a kid, they were like super rats, which were these like weird, supposedly like these huge, like twice the size of a regular rat.
Yeah.
And they used to have like posters up everywhere, like beware of super rats.
Super rats, yeah.
Yeah, you can look up on YouTube. There was like some, like, I don't know if it was ABC News or whatever, did an expose on it.
Unfortunately, Chicago is like the rattiest city, constantly topping the list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess even voles and chipmunks are starting to evolve because of the influence of humanity. And so the scraps of processed food that local chipmunks have been pilfering from human garbage cans have both made them larger than they used to be and shrunk their teeth. And as a result of all the horns honking, brake screeching, and everything else that turns up the volume of bustling city, voles have developed smaller inner ears to turn down the noise. And by studying chipmunk and vole specimens hidden away in the backroom drawers of Chicago's Field Museum of Natural History, a research team led by Assistant Curator of Mammals Anderson Vijo, along with mammologist and XCT lab manager Stephanie Smith, found that there have been morphological changes to the skulls of these animals over the last 125 years. And these changes have corresponded with the growth and industrialization of Chicago metro area. These different patterns between chipmunks and voles reveal species-specific responses to the same human-induced habitat changes and the need for nuanced conservation plans in the face of continuing change, they said. Dun, 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 dun. Where will that lead? Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, you know, when you think about it. Like, the more they interact with humans, and I wonder if they've studied raccoons. I used to see a lot of raccoons in the city, but I haven't seen any in a while.
Yeah, you don't really see a lot of them.
Yeah. I wonder what's happening with them. What happened with the raccoons, man?
The coyotes ate the raccoons. That's what I'm guessing.
I wonder.
I don't know.
Raccoons are pretty tough.
They are, and it's not like there's not garbage. There's always garbage around for them
but I don't know
to eat.
I wonder if a coyote, who would win in that fight?
A coyote or a raccoon? A coyote.
Well, I guess this was an unexpected segue, but it kind of works. Scientists dropped gophers. So gophers are somewhat related to raccoons and voles and chipmunks, I think. I don't know. They look like it. Anyway, scientists dropped gophers onto Mount St. Helens for one day, right? 40 years later, the effect is astonishing. Basically, when Mount St. Helens erupted in 1980, lava, ash, and debris left the landscape barren for miles, and it was obvious that recovery would take decades, but one team of scientists had an unconventional idea to help jumpstart the process. Send a few gophers on a one-day mission to the mountain. And plant life struggled to return to the area around Mount St. Helens, now under a layer of pumice fragments. While the top layers of soil were destroyed by the eruption of lava flows, the soil underneath could still be rich in bacteria and fungi. Soil microorganisms regulate nutrient cycling, interact with many other organisms, and therefore may support successional pathways and complementary ecosystem functions. Even in harsh conditions, a team of researchers explained in their research paper on the area's recovery. With the exception of a few weeds, there is no way most plant roots are efficient enough to get all the nutrients and water they need by themselves. After the eruption, researchers believe that gophers could be ideal for returning it all to the top. They often considered pests, but we thought they would take old soil, move it to the surface, and that would be where the recovery would occur. Despite only spending one day in the area, the impact they had was remarkable. 6 years after their trip, there were over 40,000 plants thriving where the gophers had gotten to work, while the surrounding land remained for the most part barren. Studying the area over 40 years later, the team found that they had left one hell of a legacy. Plots with historic gopher activity harbored more diverse bacterial and fungal communities than the surrounding old-growth forests, the team explained. We also found more diverse fungal communities in these long-term lupine gopher plots than in forests that were historically clear-cut prior to the 1980 eruption. In the 1980s, we were just testing the short-term reaction. They added, who would have predicted you could toss a gopher in for a day and see a residual effect 40 years later, they added. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, a one-day thing. See? Think about the farming. Like, that's kind of like how efficient nature is. The gopher could come in for one day, mess around with the soil, and just...
Yeah.
Nature's amazing, man. See, I want to try to fit this one in. This is basically, it's just, I wanted to think, because I have like a slight conspiracy on this, but there is a satellite that they put into space. It's dubbed Methane Sat. It was an $88 million spacecraft, and it was to detect methane. So the methane is even worse than CO2. And what they're trying to figure out is how much methane is in the atmosphere, but also with this satellite, they could actually detect where it's coming from. Now, a lot of methane is created by like factories.
The backside of me.
Yep. They tracked it right here to WCBT.
This guy's the problem.
But no, they
factories,
factories and big plants
cows,
and everything.
Right? But like cows,
cows a little bit, but it's more the really bad effect and like really mass amount of methane does come from like factories and different kind of chemical plants. But it only after a year it like went silent. And they couldn't detect it for a while. Then when they did, all the equipment was messed up. They couldn't get any of the readings anymore. So they only have 1 year of reading. And they said just under a year's worth of data that they managed to collect was magnificent. We set out in this first year to demonstrate what was possible and that we could think about direct measurement of greenhouse gases in a way that we had never been able to do before, a researcher said. And they think they demonstrated that. Now, methane traps 28 times more heat than carbon dioxide, is considered to be the biggest contributor to global warming. Now, my little conspiracy was like, well, how? Because, I've been reading a lot of stories about how different governments are hacking each other's satellites, and there's kind of like this growing like satellite wars that's happening. And I just thought like, well, if you had like the Koch brothers, who are all billionaires, right? Well, there's only one left, but or any other, what other big, BP or whoever else, I'm sure they have the ability as well to hack into satellites. So what if this satellite could detect exactly where the methane is coming from, and they could prove that this, corporation or this mining facility or this oil plant is the one, really responsible for so much methane.
Yeah.
Maybe they hacked it to eliminate the information.
Maybe.
I don't know. I just had to throw that in there.
Doubtful.
Just seems kind of odd. It's just like, this $88 million satellite with the most advanced technology that's ever been put in this kind of a satellite, in this kind of detection system, after a year, just goes silent.
Yeah, that is weird.
Right?
But who would want to do it and why? I guess the company thing makes sense, but it's just like, would they go to that much trouble? I don't know. That's what popped in my head reading it, because I was just like, well, why? We'll never know. But we do know that we have to end the show. I want to thank everybody for listening. We'll be back again next week and every Saturday, 6 to 7 p.m. right here on WCBT Think Theory Radio.